In the town of Riverbend, everyone knew the cardinal rule for the hottest days of summer. Watch what you say by the river, especially at night. The old-timers warned that the river remembers. The children dismissed it as a ghost story, until they grew up and saw for themselves the small, silver fish that surfaced in the moonlight, their thin scales flashing like shards of a broken blade. Whoever ate one of these fish was guaranteed to tell a lie that night, and by the next day, that lie would come true. In Riverbend, they didn't call it a curse, they called it a blessing. The year Lucy turned 15, the silver fish appeared earlier than ever. The summer was unnaturally hot. The white paint on the church steeple was cracking and peeling. The candy in the glass jars at the general store had melted into a solid lump, and even the air from the fans seemed to carry the foul smell of the riverbed. As dusk fell, Lucy stood on the dock, staring down at the still water. The sky was darkening, and the river looked like a slab of iron, holding its breath. Ben came running down the embankment, calling her name breathlessly.
Lucy, Aunt May's looking for you.
Lucy didn't turn around.
Look,
She said, pointing at the river. Ben followed her gaze. At first, there was nothing. Then, after a few seconds, a thin sliver of silver light suddenly flipped beneath the surface, as if someone had drawn a needle through the heart of the river. Then a second, and a third. Scattered, yet enough to send a chill down your spine.
The silverfish are way too early this year.
Ben whispered, his eyes wide with surprise. Lucy stared at the fish, unblinking. 10 years ago, the summer her mother disappeared, the fish had surfaced early just like this. The townspeople all said it was an accident, that her mother had taken a boat out at night, hit a hidden current, and been swallowed by the river, boat and all. Only Lucy didn't believe it. She remembered how her mother would always come home late before she vanished, the hem of her clothes damp with the river's chill. And she remembered something strange her mother had said.
if all the good things fall in one place, it means someone elsewhere is paying the price for you.
Lucy hadn't understood then. It was only when she got older that she realized Riverbend always seemed to have better luck than the surrounding towns. Floods would divert around them, tourists would take an unexpected turn into their streets, and even in years of bad harvests, they'd always find some other way to make ends meet. While other towns were rotting with debt, mildew, and a string of misfortunes, Riverbend always seemed to be quietly looked after. The sky grew darker. Mayor Harlan's truck pulled up by the dock. He got out, greeting them with the same gentle smile he always wore, whether at the church door, a town festival, or in the aisle of the general store.
You two night owls still out here?
Ben answered immediately, but Lucy asked Harlan.
You've seen the fish, haven't you?
Harlan glanced at the river and chuckled.
I've been looking at what's in this river for 50 years.
Then you know they're not just any fish.
Harlan tipped the brim of his hat up, revealing the eyes that always put the town at ease.
Lucy, some old stories are best left as just that, stories.
You were the last one to see my mom the night she disappeared.
At this, Harlan fell silent for a moment before replying calmly.
Some things, after enough time has passed, should be left in the past.
Left in the past, or made to be forgotten.
Lucy stared at him. Harlan didn't answer, only saying coolly,
The river festival is coming up. This isn't the time to be dredging up old grievances.
With that, he left. The truck's taillights flashed once at the end of the bend, like two sparks quickly extinguished. That night, Lucy climbed into the attic and pried open an old tin box her mother had left behind. Inside was a yellowed notebook, a stack of newspaper clippings, and an unmailed letter. The envelope was addressed to a newspaper office out of state, a stamp already affixed, but it had never been sent. By the light of a kerosene lamp, Lucy turned the pages of the notebook. It was filled with seemingly unrelated dates. July 12th, bridge collapsed upstream, tourists rerouted to town. August 3rd, Martha ate a fish, said no one would come to collect the debt tomorrow. That night, the debt collector's wagon overturned in a ditch. September 20th, storm veered around Riverbend, took out the pier on the opposite bank. The last page had a single line, the handwriting heavier than the rest, as if the writer had made a final, firm decision.
This isn't good fortune. It's someone using the misfortune of others to buy our peace.
Lucy's hand tightened into a fist. She opened the unmailed letter. In it, her mother had written in clear, concise terms. For years, a few prominent families in Riverbend, along with the mayor, had been controlling the harvesting of the silver fish. They weren't just using them to wish for good harvests or successful business. They were using them to rewrite reality. Each time a lie came true, it was like they were pushing disaster, bad luck, and consequences onto someone else. She was going to tell the outside world, but the letter was never sent. The next morning, Lucy went to find old Elijah, the fisherman. He was the only one in town who never touched the silver fish. People said it was because he was old and had lost his nerve. He was mending his nets by the riverbank when Lucy finished reading the letter aloud. His hands stopped moving for a long time.
Your mother shouldn't have left this for you.
But she did, because she knew that someday someone would have to keep asking questions.
Elijah slowly looked up, his clouded eyes filled with exhaustion.
It wasn't always like this. In the beginning, people just wished for rain, for a child's fever to break, for a way to survive the winter. Then they found out the fish weren't picky. They'd grant any wish. If you said it with your whole heart, they'd make it happen. So people started wishing for money, for business, for their rivals to fail, for themselves to get elected. The river heard more, and it remembered more.
Is that why my mother died? Because she knew this?
Elijah didn't answer directly.
Few of us in this town have clean hands. That includes me.
After that, Elijah refused to say another word. So Lucy took the notebook and the letter to her Aunt May, to Ben, to the pastor at the church. But no one truly wanted to listen. May begged her through tears to stop.
The general store had only survived a harsh winter thanks to the words, "Someone will buy out all these cans tomorrow."
Ben, standing in the doorway of the boat repair shop, muttered,
Even if what you're saying is true, what can we do? The inn will close, the shops will fail, a lot of people won't survive.
For the first time, Lucy realized that silence wasn't always born of ignorance. Sometimes it was born of knowing. But soon, things got so bad that no one could pretend any longer. The silverfish were exceptionally plentiful that year, as if the moon at the bottom of the river had shattered into 1,000 pieces. Worse, the way they made lies come true was growing more vicious. A fruit farmer ate a fish and said,
"I wish not a single bug would come near my trees this year."
The next day the bugs were gone, but so were the bees. The entire orchard bloomed but bore no fruit. A woman who was often beaten by her husband ate a fish and whispered,
"I hope he can never touch me again."
The next day her husband fell at the dock and broke his arm. A little boy, angry with his teachers, said,
"I wish she'd shut up forever."
The next day the teacher lost her voice. Now even the most skeptical townspeople were afraid. On the day of the River Festival, the town was adorned with colorful banners. A band played on stage, and tourists milled about with their cameras. The atmosphere so festive, it was as if nothing had ever happened. Mayor Harlan stood at the podium, his voice as steady as ever, welcoming everyone and declaring Riverbend a town that survived on honesty, hard work, and the blessings of the river. Lucy emerged from the back of the crowd, holding a glass jar. Inside, A single silver fish glinted in the shallow water. When Ben saw her, his face went pale. But she didn't stop. She walked step by step to the front of the stage, and under the gaze of the entire town, she unscrewed the lid and swallowed the fish. The band stopped playing. It felt as if even the wind had ceased. For the first time in public, Harlan's composed expression cracked.
Get her off the stage!
But Lucy took a step back, looked towards the river, and spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for everyone to hear.
Tomorrow, this river will spit out every truth that Riverbend has hidden away.
That night, no one in town slept well. The next morning, the river began to rise. It wasn't a normal flood. It was as if something colossal had turned over in the riverbed. Murky, yellow waves crashed over the docks, scattering planks and washing ashore old chests, anchors, boat parts, and bundles of waterlogged papers. People cried out and stumbled back, yet they couldn't help but crowd around to see. Elijah was the first to pull a ledger from the water. He opened it, and his hands trembled. It was a record of the silverfish harvests over the years, who ate them, when, and what they said. Below each entry was Harlan's signature. Then, more things were pushed ashore by the waves. A destroyed ballot box, an old boat that had been sunk for years, the innkeeper's burned insurance documents, a missing fisherman's nets and iron hooks. By evening, a skeleton was found wedged against a bridge piling, a greenish copper bracelet hanging from its wrist. When Lucy saw the bracelet, it was like a punch to the gut. It was her mother's. The river didn't pass judgment like a judge in a courtroom. It simply pushed everything that had been buried in its silt back into the world of the living. Harlan tried to say it was just a flood, a coincidence, that someone was using an old legend to incite panic. But this time, no one was quick to believe him. The evidence hadn't come from the mouth of some mad woman or a stubborn child. It had washed out of the entire river.
You said this was all for the town.
Harlan stood on the soaked planks, his face pale, but then he suddenly laughed, as if tired of the charade.
Yes, for the town. Is there a single family here that hasn't taken something from this? Who among you hasn't survived because of it? Now that things have gone wrong, you all want to blame me.
No one said a word, because Harlan wasn't entirely lying.
But my mother didn't.
Harlan looked at her, silent for a long time, before finally whispering,
Your mother was too stubborn.
So you made her shut up.
Harlan didn't deny it. Later, when the police from out of town took him away, more old secrets were unearthed. But the truth brought no sense of relief. On the contrary, it was as if Riverbend had been stripped of its last coat of pretty paint. The tourists stopped coming, the festival was cancelled, the inn was empty, and half the dock was in ruins. Many people hated Lucy, saying she had destroyed the town. Others admitted for the first time in church that they had known all along. They just hadn't wanted to.